Hi guys, so the first PMQs of the year went off, well, not really with a bang, but pretty much the same, I'm afraid. However, Rishi Sunak seemed to be acting as if he was already in opposition, as he was treating PMQs as if Keir Starmer was in charge, asking him why he wasn't backing a bill or providing a solution. This, of course, is a usual tactic by the Tories, pretend that they don't know the rules, but know that the Speaker of the House will do nothing to punish them for breaking them. The Labour leader, however, opened with a clever line of attack. Have a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the 13 years of the last Labour government, there were no national NHS strikes. If the Prime Minister had negotiated with the nurses before Christmas, they wouldn't be on strike. If he'd negotiated with the ambulance workers, they wouldn't be on strike either. So why is he choosing to prolong the misery rather than end these strikes?
Very good approach. So blaming the Tories here, blaming the government for the strikes, not the strikers themselves, but blaming the government, saying that the government is not negotiating. The government could have negotiated. Labour, when they were in power, they negotiated or they avoided the strikes altogether. So a very good line of attack. People are angry, people are upset, people are concerned about the strikes. Who is responsible? Well, the government are responsible.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've always been clear that we want to have constructive dialogue with the unions. That is also why, when it comes to the issue of pay, we have accepted in full the independent recommendations of the pay review bodies.
Okay, first of all, it's not independent, it's appointed by the government. And second, it's not only about pay. When it comes to the rail unions, it's also about safety. When it comes to the nurses, part of it is about pay, but a lot of it is also about retaining staff. There's nothing to do with the independent pay body.
But now, the honourable gentleman simply doesn't have a policy when it comes to this question. If he wants, he talks about wanting to end the strikes. The question for him is simple then. Why does he not support our minimum safety legislation? We all know why. We all know why, Mr. Speaker. It's because he's on the side of his union paymasters, not patients.
Isn't it something for the Tories to talk about paymasters? Anyway.
Mr. Speaker, when I clapped nurses, I meant it. His response to the greatest crisis in the history of the NHS is to threaten to sack our nurses. His Transport Secretary says it's not the solution. His Education Secretary hopes it won't apply in schools. His own assessments say it could increase the number of strikes. The simple truth is you can't legislate your way out of 13 years of failure. Between 2010 and 2019, before anyone had heard of COVID, Prime Minister, the number of people stuck on the NHS waiting list doubled. Why do patients always wait longer under the Tories?
Whoa. This is the new year. I want to start off with the refreshed chamber, but certainly not by interruption. Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he talks about the minimum safety legislation. Let's just talk about it a little bit further, because this is a simple proposition that no one denies the union's freedom to strike, but it is also
Wait, what? So they have freedom to strike, but you're going to punish them if they go on strike. So you're going to say, well, you need to provide a minimum level of service, but if you go on strike, you'll lose your job and you will be fined. And now he's saying nobody's denying them the right to strike. Well, which is it? They can strike or they will lose their job and they can be fined. Because those two things are mutually exclusive.
Important to balance that with people's right to have access to life-saving healthcare at this.
The problem with all of this is that there isn't the staff. There aren't the resources. So he's saying, and I've covered this already, what he's trying to do is he's saying, well, we need to have a minimum level of service. But you can't have a minimum level of service if you don't actually have the service, if you don't actually have the staff. He knows that. And he's not been, he's lying, basically. But he's going to get away with it because it's PMQs.
At the same time, Mr. Speaker, this shouldn't be controversial. This shouldn't be controversial. The International Labour Organization supports minimum service levels. We have, they're present in France, in Italy, in Spain. Normally, he's in favour of more European alignment, Mr. Speaker. Why not now?
A Brexiteer talking about alignment with the EU or European countries, trying to use it as an attack line, is completely absurd. But okay, if you want to compare European countries, they don't have the issues that the UK has. There are staffing shortages in some European countries. But for example, in Italy, there isn't a staffing shortage and you're able to have a minimum service level because you don't have the staffing shortage. So Rishi Sunak wants to bring in a requirement where there must be a minimum level of service, but we're not actually going to provide the staff necessary. Completely absurd. But just once again an attempt to punish the unions, blame the unions for the strikes, when ultimately it's the government that's responsible. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.